some consequences there too. So we definitely want to make sure that we are following in those types of circumstances the guidance of our council.
Any other questions or further discussion about this? All right, so our next item on the agenda is our finance department update. Time manager.
So recently, the town has been using the CPA firm of Wigglesworth, Layton, Moyer, and Sands. We've been using them since 2020, since the embezzlement occurred, and we've been using them to make sure that our books were reconciled. Now we're using them basically monthly to reconcile our books as well on a more permanent basis. What led to that was I had a conversation with our auditor, which is PKS, and I was trying to determine why the audit, there were a couple of things I was trying to do, why the audit had taken so long, is taking so long. And it was brought to my attention at the time that there were certain deficiencies in the finance department that they had asked to be corrected over the course of a year that hadn't been corrected, which made it really difficult for PKS as the auditor to do the audit. Also, it had come to my attention that we were close to losing several significant grants, law enforcement grants, because our paperwork and our record keeping was substandard. I mean, really substandard. So, as I started to look at the finance department and the operations of the finance department, we were really deficient in several areas. Accounts receivable and accounts payable, which is basically your bread and butter finance. So, it was found that we were not accurately depositing or recording money that we were receiving. So we were receiving funds for certain things that we were recording in different ledgers. So, and that was a pretty consistent practice that PKS had brought to our attention. We were not paying bills as we should, even though the money was there. There were bills that were 60 to 90 days overdue. We were accruing late fees across the board for multiple accounts, from credit card accounts to our big ticket items, such as, I'll give you an example. We got a $25,000 annual payment for our trash truck, so you can just imagine what the late fee on that is. So I had to go back and renegotiate with that, so that they would credit that back. So we were having those problems consistently. I had requested certain policies and procedures put in place to prevent that from happening, and that hadn't occurred. Records management, records maintenance was a very big issue also for our auditor. It was very difficult for them to find receipts. They couldn't follow where the money was. They had to basically go back and reverse engineer and try to figure that out, which also increased the cost of their audit. Our cash handling policies and procedures, when I started, one of the things that I noticed, and this is just bad practice, just common sense, is that you don't count money at the front desk. And we were collecting tens around this time of year, we were collecting thousands and thousands of dollars. And I had met with, at the time, Wigglesworth about a year ago. Wigglesworth had a chance to work for them. And we talked about what the correct policy and what would be for cash handling, and he gave me a really good list of how it should be done. And that should have been in place, and that was never in place. And one of the things that they had required was we needed a safe. And just nothing fancy, but just a safe. And that didn't happen. So now we have a safe in place, we've got a safe room account now. We've got our cameras working because for years our cameras weren't working. So the cameras are working in town hall and they're being backed up. So before these things were put in place, we were in jeopardy of losing state grants because we have an audit that's overdue. And I've worked with the state now, the state legislative office, to let them know that our PKS audit is coming through, so they're going to have that. We're not in jeopardy right now of losing any grants as long as they get that audit. Also, having the condition of our paperwork and documentation also, it causes us to have higher interest rates. So as we're going out, if we needed credit for something, what they want from a municipality is the most recent audit. We don't have that yet, right? Luckily, we're not looking to buy anything, but that's very important. And our audit this year isn't going to be the best. It's not, the findings aren't going to be the best, but we are in a position for next year. We've got our paperwork in order for next year, and I'm pretty positive that next year's audit is going to be a positive audit, and it's not going to be too problematic. There's always going to be a recommendation here and there, but they're not going to be systemic. Based on where we are now and the policies that we have in place. I will send you all the draft policy that our CPA gave me. I mean, and it covers quite a bit. I think you'll be satisfied with it. Currently, we still have the checks and balances in place, although there's not a finance director. I still, as the town manager, I don't have access to the accounting systems where I can, or someone to manipulate and move money. I don't have access to that. But I do approve any expenditures or any payments that go on. I just don't have access to that system. Intentionally, I don't have access to the safe. The only people that have access to that safe, Chief Wink and our front desk finance person. They have access to it. I don't. Only in case of emergency would I have access to it. So there are checks and balances in place. All of the recommendations from PKS, our annual auditor, and Wigglesworth, Leighton, Moyer, and Chance have been put in place. And we have and they're following the best practices, that the most current finance best practices. So right now we're looking in pretty good shape. There's not a question that there was any money missing. It was, the issues are around record maintenance and things like that. That was the biggest issue, and it was an issue that we had to resolve right away. It wasn't something we could wait. We had to do an immediate course correction because, again, it affects our grants, it affects our ability to win, and it affects our bookkeeping. So that's what we're doing.
Question.
Are we planning on staying with them, or are we planning on hiring a director ourselves?
Right now, I don't plan on hiring a finance director at this point. I think until I get a good handle on where we are financially, I think that it is cheaper for us right now to really use Wigglesworth, Leighton, Moyer, and Chance. They are a lot less expensive than paying the salary and benefits and retirement of a full-time employee. They are a certified public accountant, so there's a level of accountability there that we didn't have before.
And what exactly is their role on a daily basis, or weekly basis, monthly basis? How are the CPAs, what are they doing for oversight purposes of what's happening with the finances?
All right, so basically, with the agreement with them is that they're not managing finance at all. So they are available if you have any questions with Sage, which is one of our accounting systems, Sage or Edmonds. They do have access to our accounts. They can't move money, but they can go in and look at our account balances and things like that. So they are available if we have daily questions. They do come in monthly, or if we need them, they come in and they reconcile the books, make sure our deposits match up with the general ledger, which is very important because they weren't in the past. They also make sure that our receipts, that those records are being maintained as well.
So that's a good oversight procedure for us to have in place, that things are being done on a regular basis like that.
Yes.
And to keep it straight.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Oh, and I could just tell you this, the balance in the account is $1,026,034.31. That's in the general fund, and we have approximately $1 million in the ARP account. And you will be getting monthly expenditure reports. And the expenditure reports, they're going to be titled unaudited because we don't have our final audit yet. So it's going to be unaudited until we get that final audit. And then the accounts will be titled audited.
When is that expected?
I'm hoping to get it by the end of the month because I've told the state, because the state, I've been in contact with the state, and I've told them, and I've told PKS that we got to get this done. It's time sensitive.
And is this for the 2021-22?
2020.
How about 21-22? Because that's coming up.
That's coming up, and that's what they're gearing up for, and that's why I have Matt Chance here to make sure that when they come in, and I don't want to frame it this way, but the previous audit, we had about 8 people here for 5 to 7 days for a budget of $3 million. That's just too much, and that's why the cost was so much. So right now, we're trying to get everything in order so that when PKS comes back, we don't have to spend $20,000 on that audit. So if PKS came in toward the end of October, that would be great. It gives us, because we're still working on getting all of the documents together and getting them in order so that when they get it, they understand it, and we move forward.
And that would be for the
Yes.
21-22?
Yes.
And that's pretty much in line with normal, October is normally the time we're looking and seeing our auditors,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, October, yes.
Is that report be made public or just?
Yeah, this was
They'll present that at a meeting for us, correct?
Yes, they will.